For the longest time, I believed that preference is something you cannot unlearn. It's almost like sexuality. You just know that you like guys. The same way I just know that I don't like people with pimples and I can't change it. It's just how I am naturally. No. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Lehle Mgopozi. Thank you so much for watching this week. If you're new to my channel, please don't waste any more of your time. There's a hyperlink right here. Just click on that hyperlink and you'll be automatically subscribed. In addition to clicking that hyperlink, I want you to go to that subscribe button at the bottom of the screen and there's a bell right next to it. Click to it so you can be part of the notifications gang and get notified every time I drop something crazy. You probably can tell that I'm topless, and that's only because of the nature of today's video. I'm going to be applying a face mask for you guys. And I do this twice a month, but when I do it, I don't wear a top because it can be quite runny. So this is what I'm using. It can be quite runny and then it gets onto my clothes and then it stains them forever, and I don't want to do that. So I know it's a little bit weird and a little bit awkward that I am topless right now, but we're going to have to deal with that because I'm not trying to stain any of my clothes. I don't have old clothes that I don't like. I like every single one of my clothes, and also it's a subtle flex. So I thought that in addition to putting on a face mask, I thought it would be really cool actually to put on a face mask in front of the camera while you guys are watching and you know it's recording, but at the same time still shooting a video on YouTube, because there's a topic that I've been I've been working on discussing in front of the camera. I just didn't know the angle. I really wanted to make it lighthearted and fun, and also it doesn't come across as me attacking anybody who, you know, has a different view from me. And this topic is of preference, and it's a big chat right now in the LGBTIQ spaces because a lot of conversation is happening on, is it really preference or is it just prejudice? Because if you know, look at the nature and where it comes from, basically these preferences that people keep speaking of, you know, they come from very problematic places, and also, you know, they're derived from, you know, feelings of hate towards a certain population sometimes. Well, that's the chat at the very least, right? And I just want to dive into that. But before I get into that, I want to explain to you guys that I'm using this. I'm not a beauty influencer. I'm just doing it so that you guys aren't left in the dark. But I use this Allura charcoal peel off mask. I love it. It's the best because I feel like it actually works on my skin, and I haven't had a pimple in ages. And if I start seeing one, girl, I use this thing and that pimple is no longer going to be there in the following week. So yeah, let's get into it. I just want to kick off this video with talking about what exactly is preference, right? And Google defines preference as an extreme liking towards something over another. Very simple. And I want to just go through my journey of discovering what exactly is my preference. And I want to start it off at the beginning where I discovered that I actually like people of the same sex. Sorry, my phone is actually going to be a problem, so let me switch that off. Yeah, so I spoke in one of my videos that I recorded where I was basically, what was the video called now again? It was called LGBTIQ safe spots, turn up spots for the LGBTI community. And in the beginning of that video, I just basically described like the journey to discovering, you know, the typical journey of somebody who's queer and discovering their identity and how they maneuver that space, right? So I'm not gonna get into that. I'm not gonna get too much into that because I spoke about that at that time. What I want to talk about is, I mean, now obviously I knew that I liked people of the same sex, and because I wasn't able to explore that sexuality of mine openly because of the homophobia obviously that's in the schools and that's in society and life in general, I was in the closet for most of my teenage years. I only really came out of the closet in my first year of varsity, but Nakona, I wasn't really coming out of the closet because the rents didn't know anything about it. I digress. What I'm trying to get to is that I was not in the dating scene, so I didn't really get time to understand what my preference was. However, Mixit, in the Mixit days, Mixit really did set a good foundation, because on Mixit, that's when I got introduced to the terms top and bottom. And then there I got to decide, this is very weird. Why is it doing this? Has it expired? No, can't have expired. Mixit was a great foundation for me because I got introduced to top and bottom, and then at that time I was very young, and that was the first That was my first encounter with the scene, because I mean, if you had Mix It and you were queer, you know where to, you knew, I don't know, you just knew where to go to find these group chats or these online, what do they call them? But there were group chats. You could get kicked in, you could get kicked out or put in that group chat. But at that time I was wondering, so what constitutes top and bottom? And obviously when people explained it to me, it was a matter of, if you're feminine, you're gonna be bottom, and if you're masculine, then you're gonna be the top. And the bottom, we all know the bottom is the receiver, and the top is the giver. I nearly said provider. So I went through my whole high school believing that that's the standard. So naturally, because I was I identified as a feminine male, I gravitated towards being a bottom. So throughout my high school, I said, you know what, Lihle, you're a bottom. However, that doesn't really speak to the essence of this chat, which is preference. But I mentioned this because as a background of my journey to discovering exactly what my preference is and what preference actually means, right? And then we fast forward obviously now to varsity. This is actually harder than I thought. Like, I'm trying to concentrate. So then I get to varsity, right? And I still have that mentality in my head that, okay, I am bottom. And because I'm feminine, that's what's gonna happen. And I maneuvered my life. I went through life believing that, especially in Cape Town. And Cape Town is actually quite big on that. I mean, some girls may not agree, but Cape Town, they take the whole top and bottom thing seriously, hey? It's very rare that you find a verse in Cape Town. And I speak from experience because I lived there for 4 years. It's either they were strictly top or strictly bottom. But then things changed when I got Grindr. Because then that's when I started seeing, like, my what I believed was challenged. So I became very confused, because when you get to Grindr, a lot of muscular guys are looking for the exact same thing. And also the white people are talking whites only, right? And that changed the game for me. We're getting there. I literally covered the full face. So let's get back to the story. So that's when things really changed, because I was like, oh, so you do get masculine bottoms. That's a little bit weird. But now they're into other masculine tops and muscular tops. And it's just like, so now I was confused, because where is that heteronormative standard now? Where did it go that I was taught when I was on Mix It? And why now is this narrative suddenly changing? And you read these profiles and a lot of them are just like, mask for mask, whites only, not a big deal, just my preference. And being the naive little boy that I was like, okay, well, it's just their preference and you can't change preference. For the longest time, I believed that preference is something you cannot unlearn. It's almost like sexuality. You just know that you like guys. The same way I just know that I don't like people with pimples and I can't change it. It's just how I am naturally. No. That narrative for me changed very quickly as soon as I got to Joburg, because Joburg then showed me flames, right? When I got to Joburg, it's almost like these standards do not exist whatsoever. I got introduced to feminine tops. And luckily, I'm an open-minded person, so I wasn't really, because for the longest time in Cape Town, I was like, we don't do femboys. So I get to Joburg and I was open-minded. I was open to actually getting with the fem top. And let me tell you, child, that fem top rocked my world. My brains were shattered after that session. Yeah, I left very happy. I left very happy. And from there onwards, that's when my whole perspective on dating actually changed. And then I knew that I actually would be okay. Guys, I honestly think that this charcoal mask has expired. That's when I realized that I actually don't need to be with somebody who's masculine to consider myself to be in a proper relationship. I can be with a feminine guy, and if we like each other, it will work. That's when I knew that no, preferences can change. I didn't really unlearn what sponsored the paradigm I believed in when I was in Cape Town of femmes with masculine, and there's no other way about it. I didn't unlearn that per se, but my preference did change because I was open enough to try something new, and I didn't bash it because of a standard or a predetermined standard that I was taught when I was discovering myself and discovering my identity in this world of the LGBTIQ+. Now, when we look at preference, I'd like to think, now I want you guys to please bear in mind, I'm not here to say that I'm right. I'm not here to attack people and say that this opinion of mine that I'm voicing in this video is the only opinion, right? And it's the right opinion. But I want us to have a conversation, because I'm not always right. I'd like to be always right, but the truth is I won't be always right. And when we look at these preferences, when you go no fats, no femmes, no Asians, where's it coming from? It's coming from a very violent place, because you have judged a population before you've even encountered them. Ask yourself, what is that preference based on? Because I can easily go, I wouldn't be able to date a doctor. Why wouldn't you be able to date a doctor, Lihle? Because they're working all the time and they'll never have time for me. That's acceptable for me because I feel like it's based on characteristics that are typical within that community of people. And also I may be speaking from experience, right? I actually did go and date a doctor. They didn't have time for me, and now I'm damaged. I don't want to be with another doctor, because doctors to me now are busy. Not to say that it's okay to generalize like that, but that's a story for another day. But it was a judgment based on something that I've tried before. Now, if you're just going no fats, no femmes, no Asians, where's that coming from? Why don't you want fats? It's coming from a place of fat phobia and body shaming. You've never been with a fat person, but you are saying that you don't want to be with that person because you don't like their body. It's shallow. You don't know if that person's going to love you like you want to be loved. You don't know if that person's going to make you laugh, which I think are characteristics in a relationship that really do matter. It's not coming from a place of hate. It's coming from a place of you want a certain experience in your relationship, and there's certain things that you cannot overlook. What is this about fat people that is going to make you not happy in that relationship? What is it about that feminine person that is just not going to make you feel satisfied with your relationship? If you're saying no femmes, it's coming also from a place of internalized homophobia. You're hating your own people. Let's not even start with the whole trans story, right? Because we have done trans people wrong. They have been in the forefront of our struggle. Sorry, I thought I dropped some of my mask on the floor. They are basically the heart of our freedom and the driving force of our freedom, but yet we marginalize them so much. Transphobia is actually very tiring, and I don't even think I had the strength to get into it. My chat here is that saying it's just my preference, bro, doesn't substantiate anything. It just substantiates that you're a douche who doesn't want to engage in a very content-rich conversation, because there's a lot we can say about this, you know? Oops, see? This is why we did this video topless today. Our culture, because I'm sure you've heard of the term heteronormative, which means basically, the heterosexual standards, meaning a feminine figure must be with the masculine figure, they must get together, make babies, have a family, have a white picket fence, and everything's gonna be cute. I was reading an article about homonormative standards, which even when you look at the homonormative standards, they are not original standards, because they are based on standards of the heterosexual culture. Homonormativity is saying I want to be with another masculine person because femmes, I don't understand femmes. The culture of heterosexuality is hating on feminine males. You're not supposed to be a feminine, you're not supposed to be a man who cries or have emotions, you're supposed to be tough. That's the heterosexual standards, and now you're coming and you're imposing it into our standards and our culture. why haven't we established our own dating norms? We're all men, Batong. As far as I'm concerned, and this is just my opinion, I feel like every gay guy should be versatile, because at the end of the day, you're laying with a man. But I'm not saying that that's the how it should be. Look, I'm saying I actually am saying that's how it should be, but I'm not saying that that's the correct opinion to have. If you don't believe that, please let me know in the comment section. Tell me, Lihle, you're talking bullshit, and then I will understand, right? And I'll be very happy if you actually give me that feedback. Okay, so now I've got on my full face, and what we're basically doing now is I'm just gonna basically wait for it to dry. Let me just set the timer. I'm gonna set the timer. See, my hand is now all black, and what I'm essentially saying to you is that no fats, no femmes, no Asians, blacks only. That's not preference. That's prejudice, because it's coming from a place of hate. And also, unlike your sexuality, preferences come after you've experienced things in the world, right? You grow up, your sexuality, you're born with it, you grow up and you realize, I find that boy quite attractive, I like that pink top, I really enjoy playing with makeup, I want that doll. These are all innate things, right, that you're born into this world with, and you don't learn them from anybody. They come from you. It's your personality, it's who you are. When it comes to preference, it's something that you have adopted from whatever. It just doesn't make sense, and you really can unlearn that. You just have to have an open mind and stop being so self-absorbed and being so focused on your rock hard abs and your pecs, and open your eyes to how dark that is and how it actually marginalizes a certain population before you've even interacted with them, before you've even given them the opportunity to show you who they actually are. It's coming from a place of hate. Guys, as a collective, as the LGBTIQ+, already we are hated by the exact same people that we're stealing standards from. They don't like us. We've seen it. There's already enough hate from the world. There should not be hate within the community. Speaking about this has actually now made me think about preference as a concept. That should we even have a preference? I don't know, that to me that's a little bit deep, because it's just like, what's your preference coming from? Okay, if it's coming from experience, but then again, you're not going to experience the same thing with everyone you meet. And if it's based on titles like doctors and lawyers or black people or Asians, you can't help but stereotypes. In a utopian world, I don't think there would be any preferences. People will fall in love with what's happening in here, will fall in love with personalities, right? And I feel like preferences are more, especially this no fats, no femmes, no Asians, no blacks thing. It is so violent, it is very hurtful to the population, and it's exclusionary. We're saying to a certain population, you're not worthy to be part of this dating pool. We don't want to be associated with you in this dating pool. In a world where already to begin with, you had to grow up being neglected and not being able to express yourself authentically because the world is saying you are an abomination. Let's get it together, guys. Please leave comments in the comment section and tell me what you feel about today. Like, answer my question. Should we even have preferences in the first place? Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to hit the notifications icon so that you're notified every time I drop something crazy. Thank you so much for tuning in into this week's video. And I've got my mask here. This actually isn't the best application I've ever done. You guys distracted me. On that note though, it's your boy Leash dipping out with some YouTube love. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Can't touch my mouth.